Ahoy friends, welcome to Building the Alpha Dory. I'm Dan, and this is a project to build a Chamberlain-style racing dory from John Gardner's The Dory book. Illustrations by Sam Manning. Today we'll be out in the shop, and we're going to be continuing to fit the various parts and pieces to for the rails. So let's get out there and figure out what we got to do. Okay, so we're finishing cleaning up the rail blocking. So that the rails will go on. And you may be able to see there's a little area here that I gotta clean up the swoop of this rail. So probably what I should have done is planed these on the bench before I put them on the boat, because now I've got a nail that goes through, and I don't want to hit that with the plane if possible. So what I'm doing is planing it down to where it wants to end up, and then I'll come back in and remove the wood and plane. And the nail is bronze, so it's not something you want to hit with the plane blade, but the plane blade will cut through it. The danger is that you'll also chip the blade. So that looks like it's got it though. It's a nice straight, fair curve now. So here's one of the rails that we cut. So we'll just set that on there. And see how it looks, but it looks like it's sitting pretty at the moment. So, and it's gonna make the bend okay. And this is the tightest part of the bend right here, and it's flexing on there just fine. So. Let's see. There we go. And so the next thing to do is strike a line where this rail hits the transom at the angle of the transom. So that's I'm gonna clamp it on here as well. Looking good. Alright, so the way I'll strike that line is just grab a block. Oh, it's got enough width to it. I'm not sure this one will. You're going to need a thicker block. Let's see, here's something. So, yeah, take a block anyway and set it on the transom. And that will give you the angle to strike a line. To cut the rail at. Now you may notice here that the rail is a little bit proud of the transom back here, and that's because what we're going to do is we're going to leave it a little high, stem and stern, so that this rail will be a full 2 inches, 2 plus the thickness of the top board, which is another let me think, 3/8 on top of this. So, but anyway, it'll be a full 2 inches midships, and then it's going to taper to 1.5 inches or so, stem and stern. And I'll just give this board a sort of appearance of, it'll give this rail a sort of appearance of lightness and grace that you wouldn't have if it was as heavy in the ends as it is in midships. So what we're trying to do is keep as much weight out of the ends as we can, so that when this boat is bounding over chop or whatever, it's creating minimal muss and fuss through the waves. Keep the ends as light as possible while still making them plenty strong. And yeah, just a little design detail. So yeah, let's get this off and get this cut, and then get this figured out as to, we also have to figure out where we want to put the scarf joint in this, see if we want to cut anything off the end of this board, and we'll compare it to the board that's going to go on the bow section as well. Alright, so we've got the rail here is about 2 feet longer than we need it to be. You can see if we cut it back to here, then we've got plenty of rail from the stem back to here to overlap it. So we can take about 2 feet off the off that end, and we'll still be good. That'll land us about here, midships on this rail here, which will be about perfect. So let's do that, and then we can cut the bevel at the transom. And you can see there's a little bit of gray stain right in the corner here. So when we come up 2 feet, we're going to lose a lot of that. Alright, so 24 inches, right to there. And then we'll use this bevel we've got already. We'll cut it at that bevel, and then we'll fit it to the transom. so I'll go get the bevel square to transfer that bevel. Well, might as well cut it over on the bench while we're doing it. Alright, so we're over at the bench now. So I'll take the bevel square and get the angle of the transom from the line we struck. Right there, okay. And then I got the 24-inch line here. So we'll go a little long on that. I get as close to the angle as I can with this cut, and then we'll fine tune it with the plane. Okay, so here we've got the transom piece. Close to being fit. And now we'll adjust the transom angle. So that's close to where it's supposed to be. And we said we were going to run it high and then cut it down, remember? So we'll do that. Now let's check the angle that we're at. We're pretty close. We need to go at a slightly steeper angle, but only, well, yeah, only by maybe a 1/16 of an inch. I can just get my fingernail in between the transom and the rail, so we're pretty close. We'll just touch it up with the plane here and check the fit repeatedly as we sort of creep up on it. So we want to go a little bit steeper on the inside, which will give us a tighter fit on the outside. See how that's doing. Gotta put the clamp on here to hold it in place, close to where it's gonna end up. There it goes. Looking good now. So that's about it, about there. Yeah, well, tiny bit more maybe. But yeah, that looks good. So yeah, and what we'll do is we'll leave it tall, and then we'll just cut it off, take it down with either the draw knife or a saw. And yeah, so that's this section fit. Now on to the bow section. Okay, so fitting the bow is a little bit trickier in that we have to fit the bow to the existing transom fit. We got a tiny bit of wiggle room with the transom, but not much. So I'm just adjusting the clamp here, kind of in the way of the shot, but yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is about where the transom scarf is going to end up. So what we have to do is we have to get the bow in where the scarf is going to land in the right spot, and also the stem is at the right bevel. Looks like that's moving on the rail, but whatever. Alright, so you see how I'm wedging this in underneath the other one. To get the scarf to fit. Adjusting this clamp again. this will go right there. So looking like we're good here. Yeah, it's a pretty good fit on that scarf. The bow one may need to go ahead a tiny bit, but not much. Yeah, that's enough right there. So, with this in place, what we want to do is fit this into the stem. So we'll need a pencil and a steel to strike a line and then make that cut. I'll bring you guys up there so you can see what we're doing. Alright, so I'll see if I can show you what we're doing here. So the stem piece is on the far side of the stem. So what we'll do is we'll strike along the back side of the stem, strike a line right there. You see that on the, and that's just from this down on there as close as it'll get to the right angle. Alright, and then what we want to do is grab the bevel square and get the angle between this plank and the stem, because this inner rail needs to come in there at that angle and fill in the gap. Alright, so here's the bevel square. This is what we also use to transfer the transom angle. Here we go. There's the pencil. That rail out of the way. Okay, so there's the angle, the bevel angle between the planking and the stem. So I can strike that on here now. And so what I've got is the two angles, the angle of the stem that the stem comes back at, which is the similar angle to the planking, and then I've got the angle that the planking comes into the stem at. So I'll make that cut, and then this is going to be long, and what we'll do is we'll sort of ooch our way back on this with the plane until we get to the height and the right fit into the stem, and we've got it all clamped down that end, so we got the scarf in the right place. And then when we scarf everything, nail it in and glue it up, everything will end up where it's supposed to be. That's what it says here anyway, so see how that works out. I'm cutting this a little bit long, I hope, and like I say, we'll work up to it. Okay, I've got a tick mark where the scarf is going to end, so we're pretty close to that, and then we got it clamped as we go along. because if this isn't tight up against, it's not clamped in place, it's going to actually change the length. So we're a little high up here yet, and you can see that the fit isn't exact. So what we want to do is bring this back. When this comes in, it'll actually bring it back a bit, but we want to bring it back and down. But you can see the initial mark we drew was pretty good. So probably what I should have done is just cut exactly to that mark. But I definitely didn't want to cut it too short, because it's hard to cut it longer. It's easy to always cut it shorter. All right, so we'll unclamp this and hit it with the plane, and then back on the boat. So what I'm doing is taking it back close to the lines we drew initially. Alright, and let's see how that fits in. So put a clamp on it here just for a minute, and we want this to taper as it comes in. So now we're up about a 1/2 inch, so that's a 1/2 inch of taper. And we're close to the line here. Let's see, what I may end up doing is just adjusting the length of this scarf, which is somewhat easier to adjust the length of than the bevel here. But yeah, let's see if I can get another clamp on this and really get a good sense for what the fit is going to be like when everything's in tight. Alright, yeah, so you can see, so we've got the taper, so we're losing rail on the top, which means it'll taper on the bottom. And then we've got a pretty good wood to wood joint here. The nail will pull that even in tighter. But that's pretty good. And so this will get cut off. And then there's actually a little bead that goes over top of both of these things. So, and we're pretty tight on the inside here. And plus there's the breast hook that's going in here. So this may actually need to get planed down to for the breast hook to go in on. So I'll probably mark that as well, and just thin this thing down a bit. But yeah, and you can see how the on the inside how the rail is is lifting as it comes forward. And like I say, when you cut off what's on top here, so that's about the thickness of the rail forward, and then it's full thickness once you get back to the first frame. So that's how you get that bit of lightening in the ends. Excuse me. Yeah. So this is looking good. We're making progress. Got to do the same to the other side. Then we'll be ready to nail these puppies in. So yeah, this is one side pretty well fit. Maybe I'll clamp on the transom piece just to show you guys where we're at. Okay, so like I said, here's the bow section with so that's maybe a little bit much to cut off. That would leave us with about 1.25 inches. It's not bad, but I think it's a bit much. Anyway, so we'll take a little bit. We're going to have to end up taking a little bit off the scarf joint. But anyway, so that's a good fit there. And then we bring it back down to full width on the inside here, so you can see. And it runs down along here. And then here we're going to lose a little bit on the scarf joint we were saying, so we'll trim this to adjust the length at the stem and stern. And then we're a little bit high at the stern here, like we said, but not bad. Not bad. We're within 1/4 inch, so we're not going to take a lot off the scarf. And we got a good fit back here. So decent fit. So yeah, so that's how we're doing the rail. And then next thing to do is to make the cap for these things, which is going to go from about here at the first frame to the last frame, just beyond the last frame, and that will cap these rails. So yeah, that's where we're at, and next episode we'll fit the other side, I guess. Thanks so much for stopping by Building the Alpha Dory. Massive thank you to everyone who's liked, subscribed, and supported the channel. Yeah, I couldn't do this without you guys, so a huge thank you, and yeah, a good day to you all.